Don't come any closer, Alexa exclaimed, even though she secretly wanted him to get closer. Much closer. It's fine, he said softly. I could sense that you're immune. Immune to the virus, she said? To you? Yes, he said. You're asymptomatic. You had the virus without even knowing. Does that mean Dr. Gertleshund was infected because of me? He nodded. A single tear trickled down Alexa's rosy red cheek, and she closed her eyes. This was her fault. Suddenly, a strong chunk of a finger rubbed against Alexa's cheek. The virus had wiped it away for her. It had been strong but soft, assertive yet caring. Alexa's clitoris floundered. She shouldn't be feeling this way. She should be terrified, frightened. But she didn't feel any of that. The virus opened his hand, and Alexa nestled her cheek into it. It was like laying on a warm, welcoming pillow. Soft and strong, dreamy and happy. Some other nice things she couldn't even describe. I'm sorry, Dr. Gertleshund, she whispered. He's gone. I'm here now, said the virus. She nodded and shuffled towards him. He opened up his body, allowing Alexa to be engulfed in his skin and muscles. She felt his convulsing member against her waist. It was so long and warm and fat, like an arm without the bones. She wondered what it would look like when erect. What's your name? She asked. Call me COVID. There was something about being wrapped in his arms. She should have been scared, but instead she felt safe. The safest she's ever felt. She looked up at him. His eyes were striking, like a goat's, but without the sideways pupils. She couldn't look away, and they seemed to be growing. Bigger, wider, sexier. But Alexa suddenly realized they weren't getting bigger. They were getting closer. So close she could see the details in his face, the spikes proteins lapping away from his skin. His lips, so close she could taste them. His tongue, so soft and hot, like a chunk of microwaved fish, sloshing around inside her mouth. A big hand grabbed at her even bigger breast, clinging on like he was climbing a mountain. COVID tore at her lab coat, revealing her perfectly round, perfect breasts. He lowered his neck and chewed away her bra, allowing it to drop to the floor so her breasts were unleashed. They bounced around like water balloons glistening in the summer sun. She had nice nipples. COVID licked Alexa up and down. Her knees buckled and she fell, but COVID reacted fast and caught her, laying her down softly on the cool, tiled floor. But she didn't want him to have all the fun. She snatched at his pants, ripping what remained of them away, and releasing his beast of a cock. It swelled like a balloon being filled with helium, rising up, standing to command, begging for her to take it in her hands. She grabbed it and began to stroke up and down. COVID groaned, but didn't stop lapping at Alexa's body. His cock rocked up and down with appreciation, the veins bulging out further than she'd ever seen. She took him deep in her mouth, her throat stretching as he continued to grow, but this only enticed her more as she took more and more of his cock, slobbering all over it and grunting with appreciation. Then he pulled out and made a popping sound. And he spun her over, clamping his hands down on her ass, spreading her cheeks wide so he could thrust his warbling member deep into her pocket of ecstasy. It was like an earthquake had hit the lab. COVID thrust and thrust and thrust, and all Alexa could do was grab hold of the table legs and try not to crack her teeth on the floor as she lay there open-mouthed, gasping, desperate to cry out in pleasure, but not able to make a single sound. She tightened around COVID's cock, and his grunting made it tighten further. She never experienced anything like it, and as she came, her entire body spasmed, and she writhed around like a bumble ball with no off switch. A firm hand cracked against her butt, and COVID grunted like a thunderclap. He filled her with love lotion, which oozed out instantly and spread right across the floor. That will, without a doubt, thought Alexa, take a long time to clean up. But Alexa didn't care. She's just been screwed like she'd never been screwed before. She felt amazing. She felt alive. She felt bubbly like cola, ran through her veins. As COVID wrapped her up in her arms like she was the filling in a burrito, she realized she never wanted to be apart from him. She wanted to spend eternity encased in his warming warmth. Was this love? For the rest of the evening, Alexa and COVID remained in their embracing embrace, barely able to take their eyes away from one another. Gone were Alexa's worries. No more did she mourn Dr. Gertleshon. Missing was her aching to be savaged vaginally. She had listened to her heart and vagina and allowed herself to succumb to COVID's charm. She had ignored what her head had said, dread, and instead she had embraced love. She lay still and listened to COVID's heart. She closed her eyes. She rested and rested. And that is kissing the coronavirus.